Good evening. Welcome to the Stephen Knight Show. This is a very special episode, the last chapter in our 15-season journey together. Over the years, we've laughed, learned, debated, and discovered alongside some incredible guests, and of course, with you, our loyal audience. This show has been more than just conversation, it's been a chronicle of growth, change, and connection. Tonight, we're not just closing a season, we're celebrating a legacy. For the next hour, we'll be reminiscing with co hosts past and present, revisiting the moments that defined us, and reflecting on the stories that shaped the Stephen Knight Show to what it's become today. So settle in as we take one last ride through the highlights, the milestones, and the memories. This is our farewell, but it's also our thank you for being part of this journey, for making every episode matter, and for reminding us why we started the Stephen Knight Show in the first place. All right, so reason why I started, this is how the show came to be. In 2010, I was promoting an EP, Nightlife, and I was on a show with Ron Anthony. He was on EO Team Radio where we first started. And so I interviewed on this show. We kept in touch afterwards on social media, and he saw the engagement I had with the question of the day, etc., and reached out to me and said, you should start your own show. And I was saying no. And he was like, you're going to be interesting people. It'll help you a good platform for your music. And so I was saying no. I started thinking how would it look like. So I went over to Miss Parker. I went over to Janelle. We all worked together at the same time. I had known Aaron since I first moved here. I met him my first year. Went to him, and that's how the show came to be. We say yes in November 2010, and our first episode was January 2011. And so that's how we got the Stephen Knight Show. It was going to be the Stephen Knight Show or Nightlife. And Carla, who was the head of EOTM, said, do the Stephen Knight Show, which I think was a great decision on her behalf. But what I want to do tonight, we have all of our co hosts, past and present. Some we'll be talking to later in the show. But I want to start off by introducing Janera, who was part of the Stephen Knight Show for over 10 seasons. She gave us the latest in the budget shopaholic. To spend our time, money on, and where we can find ourselves. And she also contributed to Hot Topics. So, welcome, Janelle. Welcome
Thank
back.
you. Thank you. It's great to be back. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And then another OG, we had Aaron. He's been on the show for over 14 seasons, breaking down everything sports. I know he loves sports from the jump, and he also contributed to Hot Topics as well. What's going on, Aaron? Welcome back.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. It's great to be back, man. Great to see everybody.
Absolutely. Then we have a Chike. He joined early in our first season. Has remained on the show, providing movie reviews and hottest in topics. Chike, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm blessed and I cannot complain.
And then our second season, I started working with this guy, and he joined us in movie reviews. Adam joined us. He and Chike became like this when it came to movie reviews, tackling each week, and he would also contribute to Hot Topics. Adam, he's still part of the show. How you doing?
Well, doing great, Stephen. I'm glad to see everyone past and present.
And then Miss Lania Love, she started off as a friend of the show. She's appeared on the show many, many times, and eventually joined as a co-host and has given some great perspective to Hot Topics. How you doing, Miss Lania Love?
I am awesome. It's great to see everybody.
And then we have Miss Brittany. Brittany was supposed to be a short-term, one-time guest co-host, and ended up joining the team, providing comical perspective on hot topics each week, and a fan favorite on TikTok. How you doing, Brittany?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing good. Later on the show, we'll talk to Miss Parker and Nair. But for now, it's us. So I'll start with you, Janera. What do you remember about me coming to you saying, "Hey, join the Stephen Knight Show with me"?
Actually, Stephen, I think at that time, if I recall correctly, I was working on my blog, and it was the Budget Shopaholic, which it actually it changed over the years to something else, and then I just ended it entirely because of because I got busy with life, life got in the way. Yeah. But I remember you were working with me to like get stuff on Facebook at the time and Instagram. And so you was like, I think this can generate some traffic to your blog. And I like to know if you do it with me. And I was like, I don't know, Stephen. I don't know if I really have anything to talk about. And so you, with your encouragement, I do remember you encouraging me to do it. And I was like, okay, let me try it. And then of course there were others out there, others that worked with us because we worked together at the time for, for those who missed that part. But they encouraged me to do it as well. I'm sorry, I have a dog in my lap. But they encouraged me to do it as well. And so I went ahead and I went for it. And it turned out to be so much fun. So much fun. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And Aaron, I remember I called you up. I said, we need a sports segment. And I know that's your thing. I don't care what sport it is. There's one you don't care for. Like it was hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey. Yeah. But you still
No,
able to
right.
break down sports. What do you remember about me coming to you?
So yeah, you had just asked me to help start this show. I was like, okay, right, sure. Like, all right, yeah. And yeah, and to just talk about sports, and it was really really cool. What I also liked about it was that it allowed me to talk and not have to really worry about my stutter.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I really appreciate you for taking the chance with me, knowing my stutter and everything, and yeah, this is bittersweet, man. I'm sorry, like this is bittersweet, man. Like I'm in my feelings right now. Like you ain't got like one more season, man. Come on, one more.
I did two additional from what I saw.
Okay, but yeah, so that's how it started for me.
And then, Chiki, I believe you and I were talking. We know each other from Virginia, but we were talking before the show aired. And then you
Yeah.
came to me and said, you need to do a movie review segment. I said, I don't watch
Mhm.
that many movies. No.
Yeah, because at the time I think you were airing on Fridays, and I
It was
said it
on
would be a
Fridays,
good
first started.
reference like right before you went out because we were earlier too,
Yeah.
earlier in the evening,
Yeah.
and it would be a good reference right before you went out the door for a Friday outing. You would get whatever movies were hot for that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember about joining once you joined?
Um. Wow. I remember in the beginning, you told me to critique the show at first. And
Mhm.
then I hit you up after and I told you that it was good. I enjoyed it. And then that's when I suggested the movie thing. But when I came along, I just saw a whole bunch of potential. I just saw what we could be or what we could do.
Yeah.
And I remember coming to you with every little thing that I would come up with, like, how about we should do this? Or
Yeah.
maybe we could do that. And
Yeah.
then it turned into, me booking the guests and everything.
Mhm.
I had so much fun.
Yeah.
It's changed my life, actually. Being a part of this show has changed my life. I've become an actor. I have my own show.
Mhm.
I'm more courageous with my writing and stuff now. So I've grown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Adam, we start working together second season, and somehow we start talking about this show, and you start listening, and you said, "I need part of this. I need to be part of this." What made you want to join the show?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's the opposite of Chige, I guess. You didn't ask me to critique the show, but I was critiquing the
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
And I think my first question was like, are you really attached to this host that you have? And you said it's you, so I guess you had to stick with yourself. But yeah, we worked in a special position, I think, at this job where there was a lot of downtime
A lot of.
just because of the role, and it was not fun downtime because we weren't being productive. But yeah, we got to chat about it, and I did listen to it, and I got really involved with it. And anyone who's watched me over the years knows that I have a lot of opinions and thoughts and interjections and things like that. So yeah, I just so well let's I think you proposed it to me, and I mentioned this on Chike's show a few weeks ago, but like kind of a put my money where my mouth is situation. And so, yeah, I hopped on, I gave it a try. I really liked it. It was really fun. And it just kind of, I didn't expect it to be going this long, which is crazy. But it's been a great time.
Yeah. Adam pranked me one day at work. I was emailing some people, and someone said, "Is this Stephen Knight from the Stephen Knight Show?" I said, "Someone knows who I am."
It was a friend of mine. No, so for anyone knows, we're recruiters, and you send email blasts out with resumes. And a friend of mine got that email, one of the email blasts, and he knew who you were, and he knew I talked about the show. And yeah, that was a funny moment because you weren't
Remember, he
aware.
did.
Exactly.
Now,
But yeah.
Nair joined in our fourth season. We'll talk about that when we interview him. But then Lania Love, I mean, actress, producer, director. I mean, she was just part of the show. Promoting her work. And
Mhm.
I remember once Miss Parker decided to step down, we were trying to find someone who could not replace her, but kind of step into that. And we had several women come in, and she said, why not just Linnea? I said, why not just Linnea? And ended up being one of the best things. You bring levity, you bring comedy as well. But what do you remember about joining the show?
Uh, of course, because of my brother and my best friend, Chike Evans, when it was brought to me, it was like one of those. I mean, why the hell wouldn't I do it?
Right.
Because he and I already talk junk to each other. So why not talk junk with my brother
Mm,
and other people
yeah,
to the world?
yeah,
That's what we do on a regular basis. So it was like a no-brainer
yeah.
when it came to hopping on because I've done radio before and I was doing my own podcast, which I'm coming back to. So it was like one of those, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and hop on with y'all. I get to talk junk and give my take on these interesting hot topics that Steven likes to pick. And I like to give people a more over a certain age perspective of nonsense that we are not dealing with or tolerating. So it's just all love, and I've enjoyed myself.
Absolutely. And Brittany, we were talking at work, and I said, you got a lot of opinions. Why don't you come be a guest co-host? And so, what do you remember about first coming on as a guest co-host, and then what's been your experience in the short term you've been on here?
I had fun. Everybody that knows me knows I have a lot of opinions.
Mhm.
I was surprised when you came back and was like, people like you. And I was like, the fuck? Like, I curse. I'm not politically correct. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Uh,
I'm just very rough around the edges, kind of. So I was surprised when you said people actually like me and to come back. I thought I ruined it. So I had fun now.
yeah. Well, Janelle, I know you talked about making the decision to step down after 10 seasons because one, you got married, you had Dylan. I think you were about to start a new job, and you just need
Yeah.
some time to just hone it on it. A lot happens in 15 years.
Yes, yes,
How
absolutely.
how has your life changed in 15 years? I named some of it, but how has it changed?
Oh my goodness. So I have switched jobs about 3 times since I got off the show.
Uh,
Probably 5 times since I started the show. We have moved. We moved to that is a feat in and of itself because we moved with the toddler.
yeah,
Um, Let me see. We've had some ups and some downs. My father recently passed away, so that was also something that was a big life change. But it's okay. It's okay. It was time, and but Dylan is in the 5th grade now. Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. He thinks he is 50, but he's only in the 5th grade. Um, and like we've had, like it's just been a lot of change. It's been a lot of change in my life, and so I hated that I had to make that decision to step down. But I see that you thrived. I mean, you really thrived.
well, I couldn't do it alone. Definitely. I mean, everyone that we're looking at, I could not have done it alone. Um, and Aaron, I mean, you an attorney, a federal attorney that we're looking at right now. I mean, what has changed in your life in 15 years?
Man, 15 years. Well, when we first started, I was literally a freshman in college.
Yeah.
And from there, I graduated with my bachelor's degree. Then I went and got not one master's, but two master's degrees. And then finished it up with my JD. So yeah, a lot. A lot, yeah, in those 15 years. And yes, and now, yeah, I'm doing my thing here in DC.
In DC, doing big things.
Yeah.
Adam got married. And you moved, relocated. What other changes do you want to talk about that's happened in your life and since you've been on the show?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Aaron, I'm in DC too, so yeah, let's catch up sometime. Yeah, we'll connect because it'll be good. Stephen always comes to town and never tells us.
Yeah.
Maybe he does. Maybe he tells you. He doesn't tell me though.
Please
So
tell me.
it'd
He don't be
nice.
telling me either, Adam. So I don't be knowing.
Yeah. So
But
that's
we
one
got
thing I
what's up?
never forget. But I did get married, and then I moved to DC. So yeah, I went through a few jobs. It's funny, Steven and I think we met at a job that I don't think both of us are at for long, but it's like one of those moments where just perfect timing, right?
It was perfect time.
Yeah. We were both in short-term jobs and then moved on to better things right afterwards. But kind of 15 years is a long time, right? So just kind of grew older, wiser, found better jobs, moved in different city, got married, and it's been a great time. One thing I'll mention, it's thinking of funny moments. So Stephen and my wife my wife and I went down to meet Stephen once. I'm telling the story, and everyone names are names. It's hard to remember everyone's name, but he called my wife the wrong name to her while we were eating lunch, and he's like, "Oh, how's it?" And I was like, "Who are you talking about?" He's like, "Wait, what's?"
Horrible because I love your wife.
I know. And Steven, we all know Steven. I don't think he gets embarrassed often in that sense, but that was one of the rare moments. And of course, it's all in good humor, but that was a funny time.
Yeah, that was. And Lanier, I know you've had a lot of change as well. I remember the time you came to Atlanta and we all went out. What's changed for you that you want to discuss?
Well, I mean, I left a job that I needed to leave. I made the decision to leave a job I just had to get out of and actively pursue what it is that I want to do. And on top of that, you guys know that I've been a caregiver for a long time for both my parents. And like Janera, I lost my dad this year. So I'm still, I'm navigating my new normal without my dad, which has been rough for me. And I know that he is fussing at me for being in my feelings about him not being here, but it's new for me, but also a lot professionally has happened. I did my very first book signing. Was it this year? It was this year, even though I wrote the book in 2021. And I've written another book, and there's a third one that is on the way that's going to be dedicated to my dad. I did a film. Well, I say I did a film. It was something from my blood, sweat, and tears, but I've been acting for years. So, and in the new year, I get to be one of the producers on my very first SAG project. So I'm looking forward to that. And just whatever else is coming down the pike, I'm just open and I'm giving it to God and to the universe, just to keep forging through. And now that my Monday nights to be open, I gotta figure my life out even more. Maybe I'll put my feet on OnlyFans or something. I don't know. We gotta see what happens. I'm joking, babe. I don't want you. I'm joking. Babe.
No, so the show, when we first started off, it was on Friday nights, a little bit earlier. And we started out, it was in January. So, it was cold outside. And so Friday nights in the house wasn't bad. about April hit, Miss Parker says to me, "All right, I love you, but outside
I
is
wouldn't have made none of those shows.
outside is gone." It's,
Wouldn't
that's what
have made none of them.
changed one thing. But Brittany, I know you haven't been on too long, but what's changed for you just in the amount of time that you've been on? What you want to discuss?
Um, I mean, nothing much really. I started when my son was in his senior year, so he's a graduate.
Yeah.
I had kind of stopped to get him through high school, my master's program. So I am looking forward to going back to LSU and finishing that. I'm sitting for my SHRM. I do want leadership in HR, so I have some things in the work,
Yeah.
but having a teenage boy is not easy, and he tested my patience. And so I'm just glad he graduated without me going to jail. So, you know what I'm saying? So there we go, because they be testing you. So I got two little girls now that I'm bringing up. So I'm focused on them. Girls seem to be much easier, a little bit more emotion. But I had a good time doing it during this last year. It was like a breath of fresh air. And like somebody cared about my opinion,
Yeah.
even though they didn't like it. Because I don't be reading the comments, y'all. So I heard they be talking shit about me. Steven said they be talking shit about me in the comments. Don't let them defend me.
I
Defend
did.
me.
All right. So I'll let anyone answer this question. But is there a moment in doing the show in the last however long you've been on that sticks out to you, stands out to you personally? Anyone can take it.
I'll do a quick hop in. I think, and I don't know when it was, the moment we went to video format,
2020.
I think was a really big game changer. I felt like, calling on the radio was fine and that was cool. And, we did it live. I think sometimes or pre-recorded, but the moment we switched to that video format, I felt like this was a really great time for the program.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, part of the reason people have been asking for years for us to go to video. They have been asking for years. They want to see your face expression, want to see what you look like, want to see.
Mhm.
And when COVID hit, all the shows are going to Zoom. So I said it's perfect. So that's why we went. But when we to your point, when we first started out, we were live. We were live. The show
Yep.
was, and we were on our second network. Radio LA, and we just had so many technical difficulties. And sometimes guests would call in and they would wait, they'd get mad, hang up, things like that. And so we thought it was best that we start pre-recording just to keep everything at bay. But I think those two things, pre-recording and video were game changing in my opinion. And
Mhm.
even though we did pre-record, we when it came to hot topics or things that were current sports, we did that all the same day of the show. So it wasn't like we were behind anything. Anyone else have a moment that sticks out?
Yeah, I would say when we won the award,
Oh
that
yeah.
that changed things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we became contenders at that point.
We were nominated for years and then finally win, and that's the one year I didn't go. I was like, we ain't gonna win. And we won. Anyone else?
I just remember those times that you asked me to co-host, and I was like, "Ooh, Steven, are you sure?" Like those times that I had to fill in, it made me so nervous because I can be so awkward, and so I just remember those times like, "Oh Jesus Christ, let me fan myself, let me see what's going on."
Good, though. Yours are good. What's one thing that anyone you'll miss doing the show, or if you've already gone that you've missed about the show? What's one thing you'll miss or have missed?
I can say connecting with you seriously, like you were such a great friend, or are such a great friend, and just that weekly connection. I miss it. I really do miss it. I haven't been on the show for years, but I really do miss it.
When you popped out, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh. Anyone else?
Mm. I'm gonna say two things. One, would be watching Steven brace himself with certain topics when me and Chike would start talking about those topics.
Yes.
because he would never know. He's like, Steven don't do confrontation. Chike and I want to smoke. We want that. So I would just actively watch Steven with certain topics and watch him brace himself like, oh Lord, the Doublemint twins is about to cause some problems. That's one. And the other thing is the playful shade interaction with Adam and I with certain topics.
Yes.
That my boyfriend absolutely loves. He's like, y'all need Adam on more, because baby, you and Adam together. He's like, that's what I like to see. He's like, that's what I like to see. So those things, like those two things right there, because we're supposed to be able to have these conversations. We're supposed to be able to, civilized conversations, right? No one's getting upset. No one's taking anything personally. But this dynamic that we have, and of course, I watched the show before I even joined. Of course, I was a guest. So seeing everything throughout the years and how everybody, grew throughout this time, whether you were still with the show or you left the show, this was a part of your life and it left an imprint. And that's the most important thing. Now, if it didn't do anything for you, then it would be a problem, because 15 years and ain't nothing happened.
Right.
That's like a bad marriage, honey. You ain't supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback on what Linnea said about the banter and just being here. I'm gonna miss my free fun therapy sessions. I get to, every week. I'm gonna miss that. One of the things about the template for a show like ours, especially in the climate of what's going on today, is that people can see faces like theirs that are speaking the language that they understand and that they want to hear about today's circumstances and what they're going through. Sometimes it's not always pretty. Sometimes it's downright funny, but I think it's therapeutic for us to be able to talk about the things that are going on and get them out in a certain way that we need to, and have people there to support, like say those comments and, rally behind us, our followers and our fans. It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to add to that on. Oh, go ahead, Brittany.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I agree with Linnea and Chike. Like, I do enjoy getting your emails with all the topics, and I will text you to the side and be like, make sure you put this on there, make sure you do that. I'll be like, I want to talk about this. How dare we didn't talk about this? I want to add all the topics I want to talk about. And so I enjoyed that, because even if I'm like having a rough week and I miss my news or like different things that pop up in the current events, I could always rely on getting Steven's little agenda or whatever, and I would always get to be abreast to the current events and what's going on that matter, so I enjoyed that a lot, and having the space to talk about it. Even if you didn't touch everything, that pissed me off.
I'm great. I agree with everyone, and I'm gonna miss like the weekly syncs definitely. First of all, Linnea, if you never need a special guest for your podcast, let me know. I can join every once in a while. Give the people what they want. Second, I agree with the hot topics. I'm like on the opposite end. Every time I see that email, I'm like, how many of these names will I know, or how many stories will I know? And there's obviously a lot of A-list celebrities that are in hot topics, but sometimes you mention like this person got in an argument on some Facebook video from 3 weeks ago talking about this other person. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really a hot topic? But I do appreciate them, because I do like to see what I don't know, and I don't know any of this stuff. So, Stephen, I guess one of the requests is if you want to keep sending them to us every week, you don't have to do a show. We can still just get weekly hot topic emails. I won't post that. But one thing I will miss too, especially related to music, to movie reviews, is, and I don't know how many people have watched, but if Steven says, "Oh, I want to talk about this thing I saw," and then just quick, I saw this movie, I'll just quickly talk about it, and then he goes into like a 20-minute description of the whole plot of the movie, every step of the way, and what happens at the end, and I'm gonna miss that because his little oh I want to talk quickly about this bad movie I saw just becomes the whole plot, all the spoilers, everything that weren't expecting when he said I want to briefly talk about something.
And then Adam, you never liked the movies that I picked, and I said I liked, and it was funny. I can't remember. It was some movie I saw recently, and I thought it was the best movie I'd ever seen. And the person I said that was horrible. I said, "Where's Adam?"
It was that Marlon Wayans movie.
Let me tell you some of the impact that we have had, because sometimes you forget when you're doing something for so long. I remember that we had a guest early on. It was the father. His son had gone on a school trip. He was 19. He went on a school trip to Chicago, and while he was in Chicago, he called his dad, his mom, just to check in, and that was the last time they saw him.
Mm.
Never found him again. And he came on the show. The wife couldn't do it. This was years later. He was 26. He would have been 26 at that point. Anyway, later on, the father reached back out to me to tell me that he wrote a book about his son, and he included the interview that he did on the show because he appreciated being able to get the voice out. I remember maybe mid 15 year, 15 midpoint, I was doing a lot of interviews. So we would do show on Mondays. I would interview Tuesdays and Wednesdays, sometimes 2 and 3 at a time. And I remember I was about to just one interview. I was like, I don't care what they have to say. I don't but I just want to do this interview because the person, and I remember I was setting up and I, did the introduction, and the way they came in so excited and so honored to be part of the show, it made me change the way that I never had that mindset again. People want to be on your show. People want to be on the show. So that made me kind of check myself in that moment. For me personally, towards the end of 2010, before we started the show, I had gotten a distribution deal with Universal Music Group. I had a sponsor who was funding music, and I had a producer I was working with, and we had it all set up how we were going to release this project. And we started recording in October. December came, and the whole thing just went awry. And I remember I was so personally crushed and hurt. And what was my saving grace was that the show started it in January. And that kind of was like a buffer for me, through the ups and downs of the music I was pursuing. And so it really did help me in giving me something else to look forward to outside of music, because you know how that can go up and down, the industry and everything. But so it's been good. But it was I interviewed someone yesterday, actually. He's gonna be on it. Well, I interviewed someone before who could fill the show, and he sent me an email just thanking me for allowing him to tell his story. It's just you're surprised, and you asked why. Like 2 years ago, while I was ready to end the show, I had Thanksgiving dinner at Miss Parker's house, and a gentleman was there, and that's where I met him, and then Miss Parker reached out to me and said, "Hey, he wants to be on the show. He's a voice actor, and he had just written a book about why he decided to be childless. That's what he referred to as childless." And so I said, "Well, you can get my number. We'll set up an interview." He called me. I was like, he called me, but when he started asking me about the show, what made you start the show, and how you been doing the show? Who have you had on the show? And I just started talking about the show. I was like, I'm not ready to quit this, And so it's just those little reminders. But over the years, we've had some incredible guests. We've had Tito Jackson, may he rest in peace. We've had Faith Evans multiple times on the show. We've had who else we've had? We've had Vanity.
Probably one of the last interviews that Miss Denise
Vanity.
Matthews ever gave. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Monifa, we've had Selena
Kelly
Johnson,
Price.
Kelly
Hmm.
Price, we've had Trina Braxton,
Yep.
Evelyn Braxton.
Braxton, Mama
Yeah.
Evelyn, Miss Evelyn.
We've had politicians on the show, and I remember I was kind of nervous for that. I had to get out Google, see who the incumbent was. This is a guy, he was running to be the first black governor or senator, I can't remember, in Portland, in Oregon. And I remember after doing it, I was like, I did that. You know what I mean? But it really did teach me really how to prepare. Because one thing I don't like when I'm interviewing someone is not know what they're talking about or not know someone asked me a question, but it taught me how to really dig in. And one of the lessons I learned early on, I think Chike, you booked Fonzo Bentley, I believe. That
Mm-hmm.
was our first celebrity, first season. And so, I'm excited. We have our first celebrity for the Stephen Knight show. And I knew what he wanted to discuss, and I had my questions lined up. And I remember we went to interview and was live, and he's a talker. He answered every question I had in the first 2 minutes. And I was like, but it taught me in that moment to have a conversation with him. What would I say to him if I ran into him on the street? I wouldn't have a
Right.
list of questions, and so my interview style from that point on was obviously have talking points, know what they want to hit on, but have a conversation with them. And one thing I always love when someone would say to me is, "Oh, that's a good question," or "No one's asked me that." And these are celebrities, so you've done a lot of interviews. And so those are some of the things I'm going to take away from it. But despite all the celebrity interviews we've had, and there's so many I can't even think about it. I'll see someone on TV, I'm like, oh, he's been on my show, or he's been on the show. But it's always been hot topics because I love when we all talk and can talk about, just have different perspectives. Um, and we don't always agree, and sometimes we will. But that's always been my favorite, the hot topics. And Adam, and sometimes I know the people were either, but that's what everyone was talking about.
Well, Stephen, I wanna salute you. And this is from producer to executive producer. You've always been game and willing to do anything that I put in front of you or I asked to do. Or I throw an idea out there, you were always willing to pick it up and be ready to run with it. So I thank you for that.
That's well, thank you. And
Especially those wild panel discussions. Remember our panel discussions we
those
used to
panels,
have?
the first one was on religion, and mind you, this was when we were live. We went far beyond the allotted time. People were arguing. We used to have a live chat. People were in the chat going in. My mom called in to give her opinion because she didn't agree with that was. But those are fun. We've had discussions
Yeah.
on dating, interracial dating,
Hmm.
what men really want in women, what women really want in men. And it was funny because when the women went, they were kind of like hold each other's hand and we can get through this. The men were going off. I was like, but those are the things I will miss. Those discussions. I always love hearing, curious to hear what people have to say. I remember I got flack one time because it was this guy. He was very controversial. It was kind of a racial thing that he was trying to make a point, but I think he was doing it kind of as a shock jockey kind of person. And when I announced he was going to be on the show, oh, they ate me up. You just want ratings. You just want this. But I wanted to have a different perspective to hear. You don't have to agree with everyone, but you can hear what they're talking about.
Right. Right.
But yeah, well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Miss Parker and Nair right back after this.